welcome to the episode. It's going to be a good one.
Definitely.
Jules, you want to drop your handles so that people can know how they can find you outside of our
You know what? You can find me on Sip on This TO. Okay? That's where you find us. Follow, like, share. You know the drill.
Well, I'm going to do a shameless plug. And you can find me on Instagram and all other social media at Simply Lee the MC. The Lee is spelled Leah, and the is spelled THA. Don't get twisted.
All right. So before we start off, I just wanted to hold myself accountable to my Indigenous community, and I just want to do a quick land acknowledgement. So I'm accountable to upholding the protocols of the Dish with One Spoon and the Turo Wampum, and honoring the stewardship of the Mississauga of the Credit River First Nation Treaty 13 and other Anishinaabe peoples, as well as the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Wendat, and other Indigenous nations who have lived here over time. I aspire to live in accordance with my treaty responsibilities and hope to work in solidarity with peoples and communities fighting for liberation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I think, first I just want to say, we've been praying for Ukraine.
Absolutely.
And, folks who've had to flee to safety for their families and their children. It's been just kind of hot to see that, all that's happening, like innocent people are losing
Absolutely.
their lives,
Yeah.
but the advocacy is there, even though, this man is like blowing up hospitals. And this is something like I had to do some research because I was like, it kind of came out of nowhere. Like I was like,
it felt like that, right?
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, COVID.
Yeah, right?
Boom, we're kind of getting back to some kind of, normalcy. And then, bam, war.
And third world war, they're talking world war.
Yeah,
So this goes back from when Russia invaded Crimea back in 2014.
Yep.
Same. So it really, and I know you're gonna give
no,
policy,
please
but
do. It's all about land.
Absolutely,
But,
it is. Putin wants an empire.
Yeah.
Ever since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yep.
The idea is to have that empire back so that they could be a force to reckon with.
In 2014, there was a revolution and a civil uprising, and that's when folks wanted to restore the 2004 Constitution that limits the presidential power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the president gets overthrown, and guess where he flees to? Russia.
Sure did. He sure did.
And then with that comes the start of the pro-Russian unrest, and the Russian military getting involved. I mean, the conflict expanded, and that's why we're here. And the 24th of February it was?
Yeah, well,
we saw.
Yeah, it was it the 24th? Yeah, I believe it was the 24th
yeah.
of February when he finally said, yeah, I'm doing it. But it's not really a genocide that he's doing. Hitler was doing a genocide. And I don't think Putin is trying to do a genocide. He's just saying, he's like this big bully saying, yo, I'm here and you're going to answer to me. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's how. But I understand why people are relating him to Hitler. Hitler was 10 times worse than Putin is, I think. It's just, I think people are doing that because we're in 2022 and people are invading countries like if this was before Christ times, fighting over land. And there's a lot of things that are going on in terms of, the way it looks in the media for people of color. Look at, Afghanistan, Libya, all these other places that are actually in civil unrest.
Yeah.
And the media is not paying it any attention, because these are not European countries, and apparently European countries aren't supposed to be at war. Right?
I think, one of the things that I heard was, what was it like? Oh, this is not expected because this is not a third world country.
Oh.
And I was like, so
yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Please.
And the thing about it is, when these kinds of commentaries are being made, it's turning people, sympathizers like you and I, who are people of color, so I do sympathize for the people of Ukraine, because you're in your house and you're hearing a bomb drop, your kids are dying, like there was footage of children dead in the street. They're not even giving us the proper count, I don't believe, of death, right? But then you have people saying things like that in the media, and then it's like, we're back to they don't care about us, so we shouldn't care about them, right? And I'm telling you, that's the rhetoric on Black social media, because it starts with that, right? And then we go to the next part of Ukraine not allowing the Black people to leave the country, right? It just continues. There's so much. So when you see all of this this negativity, or what's the word I'm looking for, prejudice, different levels of prejudice, it makes the conversation, it takes away from what's really happening, which is an injustice to innocent people.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we all know racism is here. We all know it exists. Yeah. And to see the turmoil in a state of war where we're kind of like creating like this hierarchical structure for Black folks who are just trying to flee violence, it blew my mind. And I was like, the first thing I thought was like, how do we work together with our communities? Yeah. And to see how folks from around the world started to come together, first of all, it really, really was an eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
And then I hear about Brittany Griner from the WNBA.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Right? And how Russia is now holding her for, mind you, she plays on the Russian team on off-season.
Yeah.
So she has given them a part of her, right? Because you think about it, like basketball is your passion, that's her life.
Absolutely.
Right? And she takes time away and she gives them, like, you know what I mean? And to see them hold her for something that she's probably done. I can't say it's been done or it hasn't been done, because, you know what I'm saying, I ain't there. Maybe they planted it. I don't know, but it could be that it's something that she has done so many times. Because I think it's 10 years?
That I don't know the full story on that. I actually, I'll be honest with you, I've heard like whisperings, but I never delved into it to find out exactly what's going on. So I can't really comment on that right now, but if you could just expand just a little bit.
So, she was in Russia. I guess it's off season.
Okay.
And
at the time that this war is getting ready to start.
She's been there for a while.
Oh, okay.
And she was trying to come home
to the U.S.
To the U.S. because her wife is here, her family's here.
Right.
And when she was trying to travel, they held her with marijuana cartridges.
This is her trying to leave Russia.
They held her, and she could face 10 years.
Oh God.
Yeah, 10 years.
And that doesn't even make sense. Again, not knowing the story, you have to get drug tested to play in the WNBA or in any. I'm just saying, and she's probably trying to come back because the season's getting ready to kick up. And the last thing she's going to do is have marijuana in her blood, because that, for those who don't know, that stays in your system for 30 days, children. Okay? So, and that's what I heard, Mom. I heard.
Putin is really like exercising his power to the max, right? And
he's overstepping.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think with all the sanctions that are happening, he's trying to hold on to what little. But I think you have China backing him, you have India backing him, because they have the same agenda, right? They want to,
and the same grievances with the West, right? It's more specifically with the United States of America, but Obama said this when he was in power, and nobody wanted to listen to the black man who was running the world. He brought it to the world's attention that China and Russia were in cahoots. They didn't just become friends. China and Russia were friends since before the Crimea thing happened. Mm-hmm. So I've been hearing about them being in cahoots, Russia making weapons and sending it to China and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And nobody wanted to hear what the black man was saying, and look where we are right now.
And I think, like everybody knew that this was gonna happen, like when it came to fleeing the country and, like black folks being, discriminated against just to flee.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a picture that really broke my heart. Like the lady, she had like a 2-month-old baby that she was in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
And it really opened my eyes to say, like, no matter where we go, no matter what we do,
Yeah.
like society will never give us our flowers.
They never
right?
will.
And so now,
I don't want to say never, but
no, never.
no,
Never.
they'll have to. It's just, I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime.
No, it's like, God, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We have to take.
Yeah.
We have to take what is ours,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we don't have to do it with force, with violence. We just have to claim it. We have to own it. We have to
Right.
live it,
Right.
right? If I'm not getting on that train, nobody not getting on it. You know what I mean? Like
I get that.
we can all fit.
I get
Everybody needs to go now,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And until we kind of like own our presence,
Yeah.
then and if we give anybody a hint of uncertainty,
Yep.
that's when they move in
Yeah.
and they take advantage of our
Correct.
vulnerability,
That's exactly it.
right?
Yeah.
Like when we hear a police car, we jump
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
triggering for us,
It is.
right?
It is.
But if we walk with our head up and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and we own it, that police cruiser is gonna
Not
drive
past
by.
us. It's true.
You
it's
know,
true.
so
That's actually a pretty good note to end on for this topic. But I do want to leave something for the comments, right? So for you guys who are tuning in on YouTube, thank you guys for tuning in. I want you guys to drop some comments about this portion of the Ukraine crisis. So what's happening right now? Because the LGBTQ plus 2
LGBTQ2IA.
Thank you. They are affected by this Ukraine crisis as well. More specifically, our trans brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening right now is trans men. So for those of you who don't know, that is people who are female to male, right? They who are in Ukraine are trying to leave, and they are not being allowed to leave because their documentation says that they're now males, right? So Ukraine is under martial law, so the only people who can leave are mothers and children, women and children.
Yeah.
The men have to stay to fight in this war. If they want people who know how to fight. So I want that conversation to happen in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are about that. I know Jules will go on and on and on about that for days, but we do have to get on to the next topic.
Yeah.
So again, Ukraine, they're under martial law. Our trans brothers are not allowed to leave because their identification has them down as males. What do you guys think about that?